morning of March 23rd, 2024, dawned in the city of Durango, Colorado to overcast skies. Early signs of a future impending winter storm that would soon come to visit the area. Whence the old saying that March is like a lion and a lamb. The month began with the latter. Dry conditions hovered over the area, seemingly withering much of the winter away. As the Ides of March came nearer, the moisture seemed to return, resulting in a much-needed reprieve of winter. On this morning, the day has broken much like any other early spring day in the valley of the Animas River. The road crews of the famed Durango and Silverton narrow-gauge railroad are putting on their final checks of locomotive 481 on the ready track next to the coaling dock just outside the roundhouse. Fireman John checks atop the locomotive, and Engineer John Isaac oils around the locomotive as any other morning. Yet, this is not a typical morning in Durango. The previous afternoon, the tender was topped off with coal, as it normally had been from this dock, its reserves dwindling further and further into oblivion, unrefreshed by the top-offs from the nearby King 2 coal mine in the nearby village of Hesperus. Instead, the railroad had decided that it was time to not order any more coal. Impractical to keep this valuable piece of machinery stored during the busy tourist season. And the decision was made in 2023 that this winter was to be its final in this form. While many wanted to keep the coal burner around, it did not work to keep her laid up out of service, striking away the years of its 15-year boiler ticket, while barely scratching away the 1,472 days of service it could have used. At 8:40 in the morning, the 481 had steamed across 6th Street, and it was hooked onto the string of golden yellow coaches in front of the century-plus-years-old depot to take on the last load of passengers to ride the Silverton train behind coal. As the clock ticked away towards departure, the locals and crew congregated near the head end of Train 261. Reporters from the Durango Herald, the local newspaper, interviewed Engineer John Isaac and others.
I will say the benefit of oil.
And over to the west, 481's older sister, oil-burning 476, wore white flags as part of an extra train, and resplendent from winter work, switching the yard, preparing to head up the valley towards Rockwood after the 481's departure, to break in winter work that was performed on both it and passenger cars. Moments before the clock strikes 15 after 9, the prescribed departure time for the Cascade Canyon train, staff of the Durango and Silverton on hand from management who began on this very locomotive as new employees in 1981, the crews of today's 481 and 476, and any other roundhouse, train and engine, and even museum staff gathered on the pilot plow of 481 for one last photo with the gallant lady on her journey. Well, it's time, and at 9:15, 481 steams out of the Durango depot with train 261 across 6th Street, here in Durango. We'll follow from here to Rockwood on this very historic day. Near 36th Street, we catch the 481 for the first time after leaving the Durango yard. At the event Park Y, she steams northward into the valley. Near Trimble, we're along Old Highway 550, now a county road, as she steams past one of the few farms left in the valley. At Hermosa, 481 digs into the grade for the climb to Rockwood. For the next 6 miles, it's a 2.5% grade to take us away from the valley floor. Above Shalona Lake, the rails cling to a narrow ledge above Elbert Creek to shoot the gap into Rockwood. We're gathered here with other employees of the railroad and other local denizens to witness and pay our respects to this moment. Turned at Cascade and heading home on time, the 481 gingerly creeps around the High Line and onto the world-famous Horseshoe Curve as John Isaac lets the 481 belt one out for the ages. Easing off the grade, the 481 comes out of slow order at milepost 463 and into Hermosa. Trimble, the 481 makes its way along the tangent of the once pastoral Hermosa Valley, now hemmed in by the meandering oxbows of the Animas River and the expansive U.S. Highway 550 to the west. At 32nd Street, the 481 makes quick time clipping along the river and back into Durango proper. Even though it's late March here in the Rockies, it appears the adventurous are already ready to try their hands at bathing in the waters of the Animas. Finally, at 2:25 p.m. on March 23rd, the final coal-fired train rolled into the Durango Depot across 6th Street. After the arrival, most passengers detrain and head for their automobiles in the nearby parking lot, headed for tourist points downtown or the railroad's museum. But a few railroad employees and locals gathered once again at the pilot of the 481 to grab one last photo with the last coal-burning locomotive in Durango on its final day until it was time for it to finally go around the loop to turn the train for the next day. With not enough coal available to properly run the 481 on a round trip to Cascade and return, the bigger, oil-burning 493 would take over duties.
Say bye, train. Bye, train.
Never see her again.
Finally cut away from the train, and with no need to bank it for the overnight hours, only a few more scoops were thrown in, making this scoop the last one thrown in on the Durango and Silverton.
Last scoops of coal on the DNS.
Over the ash pit for the final time, the fire was shaken from the bed of the firebox, and the glowing embers were dumped into the pit below for disposal after they'd cooled down, and the ash pan blown of the soot and dust gathered in the bottom of the beast. Once clear of the ash pit, the turntable will be lined for the correct stall, and the 481 will steam into the Durango Roundhouse for the final time as a coal-burning locomotive, to cool down slowly over the next many hours and begin the process of conversion into an oil-burning locomotive. One that can take to the rails once again, year-round, into Silverton for the first time since 2019.